Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Sara and this is yoga. So we're going to do a balanced focused class today. So there's going to be a lot of balancing. It's something that is very important, but we don't practice it often enough. So I thought I'd do a balanced focus practice today. So we're actually going to start on our backs today. So come to your mats and lie down. You can have those knees bent if you like, or you can have the legs straight depending on how your back is feeling today. I always opt to have the knees bent. And if those knees are bent, you can just have the feet kind of parallel with your knees pointing straight up toward the ceiling. You could walk your feet out towards the edges of the mat and let the knees rest in against each other. Or you can bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees open out to the sides and just kind of open up the inner thighs and hips. So we'll just spend a few moments here to settle in for our yoga practice today. Taking some nice full deep inhales and exhales. And then we'll start with some windshield wipers. So bending the knees and walking the feet out towards the edges of the mat so your knees resting against each other. And then we'll just start to bring the knees from side to side. Just going back and forth at your own pace. And we'll take one more to each side. And then come back to center. Walking the feet in so they are about hip width apart and parallel. You could walk them in a little bit closer to the bottom if you want. And then taking arms all the way out to a T position. We'll drop both knees over to the right side for a lying spinal twist. So keeping both shoulders on the mat. If you like, and your neck will allow, you can turn your head to look down your left arm. And we'll release, bringing the knees up to center, dropping them over to the left, maybe turning the head to look down that right arm. And then we'll start to move this with the breath, inhaling knees up to center, exhaling them over to the right, inhaling them to center, and then exhaling them over to the left. So just continuing to move with your breath at your pace, keeping the feet on the mat or picking the feet up off the mat, bringing the knees in closer to your chest, leaving the head still, or turning the head to look in the opposite direction of the knees as you twist. Keeping those shoulders on the mat. Taking one more to each side. And then we'll come back to center and hug the knees into the chest. Taking some little rocks from side to side, just kind of massaging that low back. And then placing hands on top of the knees, circling the knees around first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. And coming back to center, rolling onto one side. And then we're actually going to do our first balance while we're lying down on the floor. So what we want to do is create a really nice straight line with the body. So the arm that you're lying on is going to go straight up overhead, and just go ahead and rest your head on that arm, and then make sure that the rest of your body is nice and straight. Because if you have like a bend at your hip joint or your knee joints, then when you get up into this pose, it's not really a balance challenge at all. And you'll be like, what's the big deal? You want to make a nice straight line from your fingertips down to your toes. So you're balancing on kind of the knife edge of the side of your body. And then we're going to take this top leg up. And you can start to feel a little bit of balance challenge here. And then you're going to take your top hand up and grab a hold of that leg. Anywhere along the leg, you could even grab your pant leg, or you could grab your big toe with the first two fingers and thumb of your hand. And then try not to roll forward or backwards. It's harder than it looks. And go ahead and release. And then we're going to do the other side. You can just roll over, but I'm going to turn my whole body around so I don't have my back to you guys. And then again, set yourself up so you're lying on your side, resting your head on your arm. Nice straight body. Take that top leg up, and then take your top hand up and grab anywhere along the leg. Grab your pant leg, maybe grab the big toe. It's kind of a low risk balance pose, because if you fall out of this pose, you're just going to roll. You're fine. And we'll go ahead and release. Rolling onto the back, hugging the knees into the chest again. Holding on behind the knees, we're going to rock back and forth 2 to 3 times along the length of the spine. And we'll come up into Navasana boat pose. So holding on behind the legs or releasing them, keeping the legs bent or straightening them, keeping the arms to the front or reaching them out to the sides. We're going to hold this here for about 30 seconds. So you can always give yourself a little break by grabbing a hold of the legs, lifting the chest, relaxing the shoulders. Do not hold your breath. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Got about 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Drop the feet, hug the knees, tuck the chin into the chest. Allow the back to round. And then we'll sit up and just make our way into a comfortable seat. So you can sit cross-legged if you want. You can extend your legs out in front of you in staff pose if that's more comfortable. Sitting up nice and tall, we'll roll our shoulders up, back and down, and then drop the chin down into the chest. Taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. Releasing the chin back to the chest. And then taking the left ear towards the left shoulder. And then just moving with the breath, exhaling chin to chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. So just continue to move with your breath. Taking one more to each side. And returning to the center when we're done, lifting the chin so it's level with the floor. Keeping shoulders and torso still, turning the head to look over your right shoulder. Releasing through center and then looking over the left. Moving with your breath at your pace. Inhale through center, exhale, alternate from side to side. Keeping the shoulders and torso still, just turning the head. And we'll hold on one side, dropping the chin down towards that shoulder that you're looking over. Lifting the chin back up, coming through center, looking over the other shoulder, and again, dropping the chin. Lifting the chin back up, coming to center, bringing the hands behind the head and looking all the way up. And release, taking some shoulder circles first to the front. Nice big circles here. Taking one more to the front, and then we'll circle around to the back. And we'll take one more. And then we'll bring the soles of our feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. Holding on to the ankles, sitting up nice and tall, hinging it forward at the hips. Maybe taking the elbows and lightly pressing into the knees to help open up the hips a little bit more. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll release the fold and rock back onto our sit bones, lifting the feet up off of the mat. Keeping the heels together, we'll take our toes apart. And then you can stay here, or you can slide your forearms underneath your shins. And now we are in blossoming lotus. So this is one of the poses where you actually look like the thing it's called. Your feet, your hands, and your knees are like petals of your lotus flower. And then keeping the feet lifted, release the arms, grabbing a hold of the big toes with the first two fingers and thumbs, and then we'll extend the legs, coming into a wide-legged boat. Now you do not have to straighten your legs all the way. You can keep the knees bent. Just trying to stay balanced on the sit bones. And then we'll release, coming back into our butterfly, hinging it forward again. And then we'll release and make our way to all fours for some cat and cows. So bringing our wrists underneath our shoulders, our knees under our hips, fingers spread wide, patting the knees if you need to with a blanket or by folding up your mat. Inhaling, we'll dip the belly down and look up into cow. Exhaling, we'll arch the spine, tapping the chin and the pelvis under into cat. Moving between cat and cow, warming up that spine. Keeping elbows a little bit soft. Core is engaged, pelvic floor is lifted. So one of the things about balance, one of the ways that we can improve our balance and be a little bit more steady is by remembering to keep all those little internal muscles of the core and the pelvic floor engaged when we are trying to balance. Let's take a couple more in each direction. And I'll take one more of each. Coming back to a neutral tabletop, moving into our spinal balance. Inhaling, reaching the right arm and the left leg out. Exhaling as we release. And then left arm and right leg reach on the inhale. Exhaling as we release. So moving with the breath at your pace, inhaling as we reach, exhaling as we release. So remembering what I said about the core and pelvic floor muscles staying engaged. So when we have all those little internal muscles stabilizing us, stabilizing the spine and the pelvis, it makes that balance work a little bit better. And let's reach out and hold here for a few breaths. And you can either stay here if you like, bend the knee and reach back for the foot with the hand. Once you have the foot, press it into the hand, lift the leg, maybe take the gaze up as well. And then release. Switching sides, reaching it out, holding here for a few breaths. Remaining here or bending the knee and reaching back for the foot with the hand, pressing the foot into the hand, lifting the leg, lifting the gaze. And releasing. Come back to all fours. And then sit back onto the heels, coming into a child's pose. Any version of child's pose you like. You can extend the arms out to the front of the mat, or you can stack your hands or fists and rest the forehead on them, or bring your hands back by your feet with your palms facing up. Knees can be together. You can separate them if you like. And then either remaining in your child's pose a little longer, or if you're ready, making your way into a downward facing dog, coming forward, tucking the toes under, lifting the hips up and back. And then once we're in our downward dog, if you want to move this pose, you may. You do not have to if you don't want to. If you are moving your downward dog, you can pedal out your feet, you can shake your head out, you can take one leg in a three-legged dog at a time, you can pivot your heels from side to side, you can rise up onto your toes and try and crack all your toes. Sometimes it works, not today. Eventually we'll all settle into our version of downward dog. Remember, your legs do not need to be straight, nor do your heels have to touch the mat. Tucking the chin, looking back between the legs. So we're actually going to balance our downward dog. This is similar to our spinal balance. It involves lifting opposite arm and leg off of the floor, off the mat. If you'd rather return to all fours and do spinal balance instead, you may. If you're going to balance your dog, we're going to start by stepping the right foot in towards the midline and then turning that foot out about 45 degrees. This is going to widen our base and make this a little easier. And then we'll take our left toes off of the mat. So you can actually keep the toes resting on the mat if you want. You can lift the foot off just a couple inches. You can take that leg all the way up, your choice. And then we'll bring the weight onto our left hand and take the right hand off. And again, that right hand may need to stay close and touch down, or you can lift it up, maybe reach back for your left foot and bind like we did in our spinal balance. And then we'll release, lower the knees, come into a full child's pose, so bring both hands back by the hips, palms face up, release the forehead down, roll out your left wrist. We had a lot of weight on that left wrist. Roll it out a couple of turns in each direction. And then we'll make our way into downward facing dog again, because we got to do the other side. If you're choosing spinal balance, you can stay on all fours. So this time we'll step the left foot in towards the midline, turn that foot out 45 degrees. Take the right foot off the mat, maybe leave the toes touching, maybe hover that leg up a little bit higher. Bring the weight onto the right hand, take your left hand off. Maybe reach back for the foot and bind. And we'll release. Let's come back to that child's pose again. Roll out your right wrist. And then we'll make our way into downward facing dog again. And this time we'll just walk the feet up to the hands to come into forward fold. So feet are hip width apart. We'll soften the knees, grab opposite elbows, and let that upper body hang. You can shake your head out from side to side. Take it front to back. Sway the whole torso from side to side. Coming back to center, releasing elbows, placing hands on shins or thighs, extending the spine, looking forward. Take a couple deep breaths here. On your next exhale, fold, softening the knees, inhale, reverse swan dive, come all the way up. Exhaling the hands to the heart. And we'll turn sideways, or just take a big step out to the side. I always turn sideways so I can still be on my mat, but you certainly can do whatever it is you want to do in your space. So taking a nice big step out to the side, toes turn out 45 degrees. We're going to move through some moonflowers and sunflowers. Inhaling, reaching to the corners of the room. Exhaling, bending the knees, bring the elbows into the sides, and inhale, reach it up and out. Exhaling as we bend. Couple more, inhale and exhale. One more moonflower and exhale. Transition to your sunflowers. Inhale, reach the arms all the way, palms touch. Exhale, bend the knees, circle the arms down and around as we fold, and inhale brings us back up. Exhaling as we fold. Couple more, inhale and exhale. Last one. Exhale down, inhale, come back up. Exhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, bring the hands to the heart. Come into your prayer squat. So shoulders are stacked over the hips, so we're not leaning forward. Knees and toes are pointing in the same direction. Let's lift the right heel up. Release the right heel. Let's take the left heel up. Release that heel. Let's lift both heels up and balance on the toes. Maybe the heels don't lift very high. Little wobbly here. And release. Let's inhale it up, straightening the legs, stepping the feet together, coming to the top of the mat. Taking a few deep breaths here. So we're going to move through our sun salutations. I'm going to do kind of my standard one, but I'm going to add a chair pose on the end of it. And you'll see why afterwards. So let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhaling as we swan dive down, forward fold with soft knees, stepping the right foot back. Stay up on your toes or lower the knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. And exhaling them down, taking the left foot back, downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Staying on toes or lowering the knees, exhaling chaturanga, lower down. Inhaling to cobra or up dog. Exhaling downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. Helping it get there if it gets stuck. Stay on toes or lower the left knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. And exhaling them down, stepping the left foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhaling, have a seat into chair, Utkatasana, sink the hips. And inhale it up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold with soft knees. This time our left foot steps back. And we can stay on toes or lower the knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the right foot to the back for downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Shoulders over wrists, stay on toes or lower the knees. Exhale, chaturanga, lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping that left foot up by the hands. Staying on toes or lowering the right knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhaling, have a seat into your chair. And inhale it up. Exhaling as we fold with soft knees. Right foot to the back. Stay on the toes or lower the knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot back for downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Stay on toes or lowering knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. Stay on toes or drop your left knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, have a seat into your chair. And last time on the left, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Left foot to the back. Stay on the toes or lower the knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the right foot back. Downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping that left foot up by the hands. Stay on toes or drop your right knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, have a seat. And we're gonna hold in this chair. So making sure the spine is neutral. We're sitting our hips back. We don't want the knees to come forward of the ankles. So it's just like you're sitting in a chair. Chest is lifted. Arms can be extended, or you can rest them on your thighs or at the heart. Breathing here. And then we're going to come up onto the toes and balance. Lifting the heels, just like we did in our prayer squats. Balancing here on the toes. And then we'll release the heels down, inhaling it up. And exhaling, hands to the heart. And then release the arms. And stand into Tadasana for a few breaths. Open mouth exhales if you need them. All right, so we're gonna do a couple of, we're gonna do some standing poses mixed in with some standing balance poses. I'm gonna step a little bit back on my mat just because I have a really long mat. And we are gonna be coming into Warrior 3. And I don't wanna cheat by holding onto my windowsill today. But I have no problems if you wanna hold on to a wall or dresser or chair. If you wanna have something out in front of you to help you, or if you wanna move closer to a wall
that's totally fine. Or if you want to have a block handy, okay? Because we are going to be doing warrior three and half moon balance. So if you need to gather some things up before we start this little sequence, go ahead and do so. So let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, swan back down, forward fold. Bring the hands to the mat. And we'll step the right foot back, turning that foot out 45 degrees. We're going to come into warrior one first. Keeping your left knee bent, walking our way up that left leg. If you'd like to do that little hip adjustment, I always like to do this, using that right hip, gently guiding that right hip forward. And then whatever arms you like for your warrior one, arms overhead with your palms touching or parallel or out to a V, or bending the elbows into cactus arms, or leaving your hands at your heart or on your hips. Relaxing the shoulders. So as promised, we're going to come into warrior three. So let's bring the arms out to the front. And you can either step your feet together and then lift the right leg, or just start to bring your weight onto your left leg and come right into warrior three. So you can keep your arms out to the front. You can rest them on a chair or windowsill. You can bring them to a block or all the way down to the mat. You can take airplane arms, hands back by the hips, hands at the heart. I like the airplane arms myself. And then we want to drop this right hip down so that if we had little flashlights on our hip points, they would both be shining on the floor. And then we're going to stand this pose up. So if you can do it without touching down, great. If you have to touch down, that's fine too. So we're going to bring the arms up, bring that right knee to the front. You can have the toes on the mat. And then if you like, the leg is lifted, you can straighten that leg out. Left knee is still a little bit soft. Let's make our way back through warrior three. And then we're going to transition into half moon balance, Ardha Chandrasana. So the left hand's going to come down. I'm going to use my block. And then we're going to start to open the hips to the side. So now those little flashlights on our hip points are pointing towards the wall. Right arm can stay on the side, or we can extend that arm up. Right leg is really, really active. So flexing that foot. And then we're going to step this right foot back and land as gracefully as possible in warrior two. Let's relax the shoulders. Breathing here. And then we'll just cartwheel the hands down to frame that left foot. Stepping that left foot back to downward dog or child's pose if you need a break, or to plank for a vinyasa. Moving from plank through chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, and then back to down dog. And then we'll step that right foot up by the hands. Turning the left foot out 45 degrees, dropping the heel, keeping that right knee bent, walking your way up that right leg. For warrior one on the other side. Hands on hips if you want to do that adjustment again, pressing that left hip forward with your left hand. And then whatever arm expression you like for your warrior one. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Moving into warrior three, so bringing the arms out to the front. Either stepping the feet together first or just shifting your weight onto your right leg and flying into your warrior three. So again, if you want to bring your hands to the mat or to a block or to a piece of furniture, that's fine. Dropping that left hip down so it's level with the right. Right knee is a little bit soft. Left leg is really active. And then we're going to stand it up, bending the left knee. Come on up, bring the arms up. Bring the left knee to the front. Toes can be on the mat. Maybe extend that leg. And then we'll come back through warrior three. And then transition into half moon. So right hand comes down to the mat or to a block. We open the hips out. The left arm rests on the side, or we can extend that arm up. Left leg is really active still. Right knee is still soft. And then we'll land that left foot back into warrior two. Relax the shoulders. Breathe. And then let's just bring the hands down the frame of the foot. This time we'll just step that left foot to the front and reverse swan dive. Come all the way up. Bringing the hands to the heart. And take a few deep breaths here. And I think my cat wants out, so I'm gonna let her out. You want out? Come on. All right, I'm just gonna put you out then. There you go. Okay, now that's sorted. Okay, so we're gonna do another little balance flow. We're going to do tree, balancing pigeon, and then eagle, okay? We'll flow from one to the next on one side, and then we'll do the other side, okay? So if you can go to a part of your space that is not carpeted, I do recommend that. My whole room is carpeted, so I'm just gonna stay where I am on my mat. So let's bring the feet hips width apart, parallel to each other, toes spread and relaxed. Notice how you stand when you're just out and about. Not that a lot of us are out and about, but if you're standing in line, you look down at your feet, how do you naturally stand? Some people really like the little ballerina stance. I see a lot of people that kind of stand like ballerinas, and they even walk that way, like Charlie Chaplin. It's just something to kind of notice. It can be indicative of a muscle imbalance that you might have, so just something to think about. You could be the other way too. All right, we'll start with our tree. So we're gonna bring the hands to the heart, shifting weight onto the right leg, and we'll take the left heel to the side of the ankle, keeping that right knee just a little bit soft. Core is engaged, pelvic floor is lifted, gazing at a drishti, a focal point. So that's another tip for balancing, is if you look at a spot, something that does not move, that can help you to balance. So you can stay here with the foot on the ankle, or you can move that foot up to the side of the shin, or even pick it up and place it in the inner thigh. Please do not put your foot on your knee. You don't want to place any sideways pressure on that knee joint. It's not supposed to go that way. Hands can stay at the heart, or we can grow those branches by reaching the arms up, maybe taking them out, relaxing the shoulders if you're raising the arms. And then we'll bring the hands back to heart center if we raise them. We'll take the left ankle across the right thigh, making a figure four, sinking the hips back and down, coming into balancing pigeon. Hands come back to the heart. And then we'll kind of stand it back up again, crossing the legs at the thighs, coming into Eagle, Garudasana. So that foot can kind of hang out in space. You can touch the toes to the mat, or if you want, you can hook that foot around the back of your right calf. And then if you want to add the arms, the right arm comes on top of the left, and we wrap. So when we bring the hands in front of the face, it makes it a little bit more challenging because now we've lost sight of our first drishti. So you can find another one, hopefully. And we'll go ahead and release. Rolling out that right ankle. So our ankle and our foot does a lot of work when we're doing that balancing. So just give it a little twirl in each direction. Reset your feet. Re-engage all those little internal muscles. Finding your drishti again. Shifting the weight onto the left leg. Let's bring the hands to the heart. And take the right heel up to the side of the ankle. Keeping that left knee a little bit soft. And then moving the foot up to the side of the shin if you like, or picking that foot up and placing it in the inner thigh, avoiding the knee. Growing some branches if you like. You don't have to grow those branches. You can keep your hands at your heart if you prefer. And then we'll bring the hands back to the heart. Taking the right ankle across the left thigh, sinking the hips back and down into balancing pigeon. And we'll stand it up, crossing the legs at the thighs, maybe touching those toes down, maybe letting that foot kind of hang out in space, or maybe hooking it around the back of the left calf. Adding the arms, the left arm comes on top of the right, and we wrap. And release. Rolling out that left ankle. Coming back to the top of the mat if you stepped away from it. Let's inhale, reach it up. Exhaling, swan dive down, forward fold with soft knees, hands to the mat, step the feet back one at a time. Coming into downward dog. And then we're gonna step our feet wide, turning the toes out. And then we'll walk the hands back towards the feet, bending the knees so that we wind up at the back of the mat, coming into Garland Pose. So if Garland's not working out for you today, you can have a seat and take butterfly again, or anything else that you want to. We are using Garland today as a preparation for crow, which is an arm balance. We can't have a balance class without doing one arm balance, and I usually go with crow. That's my go-to. If you have another arm balance that you prefer to practice at this time, by all means do that instead. If you want to stand up and do another standing balance that maybe I didn't get to that you want to do, that's fine too. Otherwise, we'll be here in Garland, and then we'll start to make our way into crow. So we're going to bring the hands out in front of us. Hands are about shoulder width apart, fingers spread wide. You want those fingers really nice and wide. We want as wide a base as possible because we're balancing on our hands. The elbows are going to bend back and out. We want to create a shelf for our shins with our triceps. Okay? And then we're going to come up onto toes and try to work those shins up as high as we can onto the triceps. You can stand on a block if you like, and that'll help you get those knees up a little bit higher. And then looking forward, because if we look down, that's where the head's going. We're going to face plant on the mat. So look forward and start to bring your weight onto your hands, starting to take maybe one foot off at a time. Maybe take the second foot off. And then if you are here and you're steady, you've been doing crow for a little while, you want to take it to the next level, you can come into crane, which is where we straighten the arms. And you really have to squeeze those knees in so the legs don't slide off of your arms. Whew, that's hard. Okay. All right. If you're still practicing with crow, take as much time as you like. We will eventually all meet in staff pose, Dandasana, with our legs extended out in front of us. We'll roll out those wrists. Even if you didn't do an arm balance, it's still a good idea. It still feels good to roll out those wrists. Take them a few turns in each direction. And then we'll take one arm out and point those fingers down. Take the other hand and lightly press back so that we're stretching the back of the wrist. And then we'll release and switch. And release. Inhaling, reaching both arms up. Exhaling as we fold, hinging from the hips. So reaching for your feet, using a strap to extend your reach, or grabbing anywhere along your legs. Inhaling as we lengthen the spine a little bit more. Exhaling as we deepen the fold. So all of our balance shenanigans are done. We're in the home stretch. And we'll release. If you're using a strap today, leave it wrapped around the bottom of your left foot and just take your right foot out, bending the right knee, and then we'll let that knee open out to the right side. I like to prop underneath the knee. You can do the same if you want. Placing one hand on either side of the left leg, turning the chest to face the leg. Inhaling as we lengthen, exhaling as we fold. Reaching for the foot, the strap, or anywhere along the leg. You can take a cross grip with your hands if you want to. And we'll release, coming up. Bring the right knee up. We'll step that foot up and over to the outside of the left thigh. Your left leg can stay straight, or you can bend underneath you and sit back down, hugging the knee with the left arm. The right arm can come behind us for a nice twist here. So you can stay here hugging the knee. You could bring your elbow past your knee. If you want, you can bind this pose, reaching your left arm between the legs, coming behind the back with the right, and reaching for a strap, your shirt, or your fingers. And we'll release. Extending the right leg out long, bending the left knee, letting that knee open out to the left side for Janu Shavasana. You can set up your strap around the bottom of your right foot. You can prop underneath the left knee. Placing one hand on either side of the right leg, turning the chest to face the leg, inhaling as we lengthen, exhaling as we fold, reaching for the foot, the strap, anywhere along the leg, maybe again taking a cross grip with your hands. And we'll release, coming up. Bringing that left knee up, stepping that foot up and over, keeping the right leg straight or bending it underneath you. Hugging the knee with the right arm, the left arm comes behind us for a twist. And again, you can stay here hugging your knee. You can bring your elbow past your knee, or you can reach through the legs with the right arm, come behind the back with the left, and bind.
And release. Let's uncross those legs and we'll come all the way down onto the back. Hugging the knees into the chest once we're down. Rocking from side to side. And circling those knees first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Coming back to center, hugging the right knee in, releasing the left leg, give that right knee a squeeze. Extending that right leg up toward the ceiling, pointing and flexing the foot a few times. And then circling it first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Grabbing anywhere along the leg or using a strap, pulling that right leg in for a hamstring stretch. Your left leg may be bent, or you can straighten that leg out along the floor. Extending that right leg out towards the right side. Keeping your left side on the mat, maybe placing your left hand onto your hip or just kind of activating the muscles in that leg to hold that side of your body down. And we'll take that right leg up and across the body over to the left, extending that right arm out to a T. Keeping your right shoulder on the mat, maybe also looking down that right arm. And release, bringing that right leg back up. Bending both knees, crossing the right ankle over the left thigh, making a figure four with your legs reaching your right arm through. And then grabbing onto the left leg, either the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. Trying to line the left knee up with your left shoulder. And then releasing that right foot, hugging the left knee in, give it a nice squeeze. Extending that left leg up, pointing and flexing the foot a few times. And then circling that foot first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Grabbing anywhere along the leg or using a strap, pulling that left leg in for a hamstring stretch. Your right leg may be bent or straight. Extending that left leg out towards the left side, keeping your right side on the mat. And then taking that left leg up and across the body over to the right, extending that left arm out to a T. Keeping your left shoulder on the mat, maybe also looking down that left arm. And releasing, bringing that left leg back up. Bending both knees, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, making that figure four and reaching the left arm through, pulling on that right leg, either the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. Try to line that right knee up with the right shoulder. And we'll release, hugging the knees into the chest. Extending arms out to a T position, palms can be up or down. Either dropping both knees to your right, or if you like, cross your left leg over your right thigh first, and then drop the knees over to the right. Keeping both shoulders on the mat, maybe looking down that left arm. And we'll release and switch sides. So if you cross legs one way, cross them the other way, and we'll all take the knees over to the left. And release. Uncrossing the legs if they're crossed. Hugging knees into the chest, bringing the forehead up to meet the knees, squeezing everything in nice and tight. And releasing it all down. So preparing for Shavasana. If you want to stay for Shavasana, if not, go ahead and feel free to exit now. If you are staying for Shavasana and you want to put any layers on at this time, socks, sweatshirts, blankets, especially if you are not in Albuquerque and you are in a colder climate. And then finding a comfortable position for your meditation today. I'm going to read a guided visualization to kind of give your brain something to focus on. We'll do this one today. Focus on your breathing. Notice your breath flowing in and out, slowly and rhythmically. As you focus on your breathing, close your eyes and continue to breathe slowly and deeply. Gradually relax deeper and deeper. You are relaxing. And as you breathe slowly, deeply, and naturally, feel the chatter of your mind become calm and quiet. Feel your mind become clear and spacious as the sky. Your thoughts are like puffy clouds, drifting in and out, in and out. Your mind is clear and spacious as you breathe deeply. Imagine a deep, wide, slowly moving river. Place yourself in the middle of the current, gazing up into the sky, the water holding you there motionless. Feel the current moving slowly past your ears, neck, chest, stomach, waist, legs, and feet, so that you become part of the swaying current. Hear the unique underwater sounds, the water gently rolling over the rocks, the sand rushing through the water, and your legs swaying back and forth with the current. As the water continues to support your body, notice your tension releasing itself into the stream. Concentrate not on staying afloat or staying in place, but only on letting go of your body's tension and drifting with the current of the stream. Feel how light your body is at this time, how relaxed, how peaceful you feel. Know that the very fact you've imagined your tension floating away with the stream's current makes it possible and real. Your tension has been released, and you feel light
and relaxed. And we'll start to wiggle fingers and toes. Circling ankles and wrists. And reaching the arms up overhead, stretch. And release. Either rolling to one side or hugging the knees into the chest. Taking a few deep breaths before you make your way up to seated. And when you're ready, making your way into any comfortable seat you choose to finish your practice today. Sitting up nice and tall and dropping the chin to the chest. Taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. And left ear to left shoulder. Bringing the head back up, taking the hands behind the head and looking all the way up. And release. Taking 3 deep breaths, inhaling arms up. And exhaling them down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. One more time, inhaling it up. Bringing the hands together at heart center as we exhale. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.